October 1st, 1997. Judgment Day. As nuclear war ravaged the planet, the people created an even greater weapon, the ultimate end to the global arms race, one with the power to end war forever. They called it the Tower. The decision was made and the button was pressed. Over 3 billion lives were lost that day. Those left alive didn't have it much better. Mutated creatures roamed the countryside, their DNA corrupted by the nuclear fallout. Science and technology were shunned, and the old ways of magic and sorcery returned. 100 years after the fall of civilization, war threatens to destroy the world again. Is there any hope for humanity? So begins the story of Crystalis, one of the most epic games for the NES. If you loved games like The Legend of Zelda, the Ys series, or Secret of Mana, you owe it to yourself to check out this one. Crystalis is one of the earliest examples of a true action RPG. The combat has that top-down sword-slashing style that will be familiar to anyone that's played The Legend of Zelda, but instead of focusing on puzzles, Crystalis focuses on its RPG elements. You'll earn experience points and level up, collect money to purchase new armor, shields, and items, cast magic spells to advance the story or aid you in combat, and interact with tons of NPCs. The title, Crystalis, refers to the ultimate sword forged from combining the 4 elemental blades, a weapon you won't get in the game until about 30 seconds before the end. You will find the swords of wind, fire, water, and thunder. Many enemies can only be defeated with a particular weapon, so knowing which sword to use is critical, especially when fighting one of the game's many bosses. Crystalis was developed by SNK, a company that is much more well known for its arcade fighting games like Samurai Showdown, Fatal Fury, and The King of Fighters. SNK didn't release too many games for the NES, but they did have some success with games like Guerrilla War, POW, and the Ikari Warriors series. Crystalis was a critical success when it released in 1990, but it didn't sell well enough for SNK to justify a sequel. Over time, the game became a cult classic, and Nintendo even decided to re-release it on the Game Boy Color 10 years later in June of 2000. The Game Boy Color version does differ slightly from the one on the NES, and is not quite as good. Some of the best music tracks were changed, and some questionable decisions were made in regards to the story, but it was still awesome to have Crystalis in a handheld form. Speaking of the story, Crystalis is one of the few 8-bit games where the story really sticks with you. The post-apocalyptic setting is very unique, and the different places you visit and people you meet are quite memorable. I've always enjoyed seeing the conflict between magic and technology, and it reminds me a bit of one of the greatest turn-based RPGs of all time, Final Fantasy VI. Today's critics still appreciate this early pioneer in the action RPG genre. When IGN released their list of the top 100 NES games of all time, they ranked Crystalis at number 42. Somewhat surprisingly, Crystalis is one of the NES games included on the Switch's online service. It's nice to see some of these great but more obscure games on there. It was also included on the SNK 40th Anniversary Collection for PS4, Xbox One, Windows PC, and the Nintendo Switch. Modern gamers will still have to deal with all of the challenges the NES is notorious for. The relentless enemies will poison you, petrify you, or even turn you into a slime monster. And the game's maze-like dungeons will have you hopelessly lost. But what if I told you the secret to buying all of your armor and items at a discount? Or, in most cases, for free? What if I told you the secret to leveling up fast so you won't have to waste hours grinding? What if I told you about a secret trick that will allow you to fly without having the flight spell, so you can skip a huge chunk of the game? And what if I told you how to defeat every boss, even Emperor Dragon himself? Well, on today's episode of You Can Beat Video Games, we'll learn all of that and more. If you're new to the channel, we're doing deep dives on retro video games and giving you the professional strategies that can be used by the casual gamer. Please make sure to subscribe and click the bell for notifications so you don't miss any new episodes. Let's get started. Alright, Crystalis. Now, before we actually get deep into the game, I want to talk about a trick called the Wild Warp. So, you need to plug in a second controller, and hold down A and B on controller 1, and then press A on controller 2, and you'll be warped off to the town of Leaf. Now, there's actually 16 locations that you can be warped to, so if you keep pressing A, you'll cycle through all of them. Be careful when you're doing this though. This one here, the purple one, is actually a poison swamp, and if you don't have the gas mask, which you'll find later in the game, you can be damaged or killed there. We're not going to use this trick during the run. It's a fun trick to do, and I definitely wanted to mention it, but you can use this trick to cut out large chunks of the game, or go to the end early and just get the best equipment. I wanted to be able to show the entire game, and that's why I'm just mentioning it here at the beginning of the video. And now let's get into the actual game. As we start up the game, we're 100 years after the fall of civilization, and the human race is not doing very hot. People have formed very small villages, each with a population of maybe 10 to 12. Very bad. Outside the villages, mutants roam the countryside, and the people are living in fear. They're also living in fear of an impending war with an empire called Dragonia. Fortunately, there are these 4 wise men out there that are trying to help out. I say wise men, that's what the game calls them, but one of them is definitely a woman. And as we emerge from our cryostasis, we need to seek out those wise men for their guidance. The game asks you to enter your name, so I'm going to put in "You Can Beat Video Games," and I'm going to speed this part up. And with a few flashes, we come out of our frozen cryostasis, and just like in any classic RPG, we have amnesia. We have no idea what we were like before the apocalypse. Oh yeah. And we explode out of the side of a mountain, which would probably be pretty jarring to the people of this town, but it seems like just that one guy noticed. This is the town of Leaf, and it's a typical RPG town with an inn and a store, and up here is the Elder's house. It's dangerous to go alone, so he gives us our first weapon, the Sword of Wind. Now if we head over to this house to the right, inside we'll meet a guy who says he's Zebu's apprentice. And Zebu is one of the 4 wise men I was talking about. And Zebu's apprentice has $100 to give us. So we want to come and get some equipment, but we only have $100 to spend. So we might want to use a little trick here. You'll notice it looked like I bought the tanned hide, but I didn't spend any of my $100. Now how did I do that? We highlight an empty space and then press a direction and very quickly press the A button. The merchant will say anything else, and that means that you did it. You purchased the item and it used the value for the price on that empty space, so you got the item for free. You can also do it in a store where there's no empty space, so you can see this medical herb costs 30, and if I quickly move to the alarm flute and press A, I'll be able to buy it for 30 gold instead of 50. We do need an alarm flute, so we should pick up one of those, and we should also get a medical herb and an antidote just to be safe. Now, if you don't want to use this trick, you could go outside of town and just farm enemies for money. It will take a while to do that, and you definitely want to get the armor, the alarm flute, the medical herb, and the antidote. You don't actually need the shield yet. Shields in this game only protect you from ranged attacks, and none of the enemies at this point actually shoot you. So you're not going to need a shield just yet, but if you're getting it for free, I mean you're getting it for free, so you might as well grab it. We're going to head into this cave over on the left side and meet with our first wise man, Zebu. Zebu's the one that's good for that $100 we got, so thanks buddy. And he tells us that we need to start up the windmill. To do that, we're going to need to wake up his lazy assistant, and you'll notice that if you hold down the B button when you're not moving, you'll charge up your weapon. You want to make sure also that your weapon is equipped as well as your armor and shield. Make your way up into this cave, taking out these slime enemies that are in the way. And there's no enemies in here, so you don't have to worry about that. And up here, we're going to use the alarm flute that we purchased. So turn it on, and you'll want to press the B button. Now, the people in this game sleep like they're in some kind of coma, so you have to use an alarm flute, which is a one-use consumable item to wake them up. Whenever we wake this guy up, we'll get the windmill key, and that's exactly what we needed to turn this windmill on. So press select to go to your item screen and highlight the windmill key, and make sure none of your other consumable items are equipped. Once the windmill starts going, it blows up the side of the mountain. I don't know how Zebu rigged that up, but for some reason he made up a windmill that blows up the mountainside. Very interesting. As we emerge from this cave, you need to kill this slime monster, and we need to build up to level 2. So I'm going to save the game, and whenever you go into this cave and come out again, the game actually creates a checkpoint. So we need to get to 30 experience points. The slimes are worth 1 each time, and I'm going to speed this up because it does take a few moments. If you die while you're doing this, because you're creating a checkpoint every time you come in and out of the cave, you'll be able to just select continue on the title screen, and you'll come back as if nothing ever happened. You won't lose anything. Once you get the 30 experience points, we'll be at level 2, and that will increase our health, it'll increase our magic points, it will increase the damage that our weapon does, it will increase our defense, but most importantly, whenever we get into the next cave, we won't be able to damage the enemies there at all if we're not level 2. So it is critical that you build up that level. And as you come up here, we'll get the refresh magic. You could have gone all the way back into that cave where Zebu was and talked to him to get the refresh magic, but we don't need to. He actually has telepathy, and he'll give it to us automatically when we enter this cave. Refresh is very useful magic. It will allow us to use our magic points to refill our health. So yeah, that's extremely important. Make your way through this cave. You want to power up and shoot these slugs with your level 1 blast. Just take a moment to charge up, and then give them a shot. That way they won't get close enough to you to damage you. Head up through that stairway. We're going to skip that passage above, and we need to be very careful of this pink slime. If it touches you, that guy can poison you, and the poison will start draining your health rapidly, and you'll need to use that antidote that we bought to turn the poison off, but we only have one of those antidotes, so we need to be careful about it. These bats in this room are relentless, so I like to try to charge up a shot and shoot it at them, but whenever they get close enough, you can just rapidly tap the B button to hit them with the sword, and down in that dead end, we will get the Ball of Wind. The Ball of Wind is an enhancement for our Sword of Wind, but we do need to equip it separately from that select menu. With it, we'll be allowed to charge our weapon up to level 2, and not only does our level 2 blast deal more damage, but it can destroy these gray sections of the wall, and behind this one you'll find an antidote. Pretty nice. If we come down here, we'll also be able to grab a medical herb. Now you can only hold 8 consumable items at any one time, and right now I'm going to turn on the refresh magic just in case we get low on health and need to use it, because in the next room, it's time for another level grind. With the Ball of Wind, this level grind will be very easy. We just want to take out this green Wyron enemy, and the pink poison slime, so make sure to keep that poison slime far away from you when you're doing the level grind. And we need to get to level 3. I'm going to speed this up. If we don't get level 3 right now, we are going to encounter a boss very soon, and it's going to be a big problem. So it is very important that we do this level grind. It doesn't take very long to do. Once we have level 3, we're going to enter this room right up here to the north. Inside there's another one of those golems, and he's guarding a treasure chest. Inside of it are some warp boots. The warp boots are a very useful consumable item. They'll allow us to teleport from anywhere to any town that we have previously visited. Once you have the warp boots, we can't save while we're inside the dungeon, so we're going to hurry and just go back out the same way that we came. So I'm speeding this up. Go outside, and we can save out here. We're about to fight a boss, and if you die on the boss, well, then we'll have to redo that whole level grind. So that's why we went outside first to save the game, just in case we don't want to have to repeat that level grind a second time. Make your way through these slug enemies, try to conserve some health for the boss. If you took a bunch of damage when you were trying to grind up a level there, you probably should go back to the town of Leaf before you come to this boss and use the inn there to refill your health. Make your way up at this juncture. We skipped over it before, but that was because we didn't have the ball of wind, and we'll use it to break the wall up here. As we pass this wyvern enemy, you'll see that the path forks. If we head to the left here, we'll be able to grab a medical herb, which might be nice to have. We do need to be careful. There are 2 poisonous slimes in this room, so make sure to charge up to at least level 1 and shoot them from a distance. Once you have the medical herb, head back out the way you came, and we're going to go to the other side this time. That's going to lead us to the boss, and the boss is a vampire. That's right, the fallout from the nuclear wars has created vampires. I wonder what her story is. Could be the concept for a YA novel series. Try to hit her with your first charged shot, and then the key is to quickly remove any bats that she shoots at you. Those are the things that are going to deal you the most damage. And she'll be teleporting around the room. Whenever you get close enough to hit the vampire, you just want to mash the B button and try to hit her with multiple sword strokes. And once she is defeated, we'll get the rabbit boots, which is a pretty awesome item. It allows us to jump. We'll need to charge up our wind sword to level 2 to get through this wall. And we'll be out of the cave and on to the next area. Now would be a good time to save the game. This area is called the Cordell Plains, and it leads to a town called Brynmare. We're going to head straight down, and you can see if we unequip our spell and equip the rabbit boots, we can jump, which is pretty sweet. Now that we're in Brynmare, we will hit up the inn, which only costs 20 gold, so it'll be nice to have full health and magic points. And then we're going to check out this armor store. Well, look at that, they have an empty space. That means we can buy this bronze shield for free, and we can also buy that leather armor for free as well. So I'm going to equip the bronze shield, and we'll come back for the leather armor. Have you ever worked in retail and you had a customer come up to you and say, "I don't see a price tag on this. Does that mean it's free?" And in these stores here, like in the tool shop where you can get free warp boots, the merchant's like, "Yeah, well, I guess it is free." I don't think that education is very highly valued here in the post-apocalypse. I bet a lot of these merchants look at their ledgers at the end of the day and they're like, "Man, I made a lot of sales, but how did we lose money?" Very confusing, this math thing. Now we'll go back into the Cordell Plains. There was a guy as we exited the town that said he was missing a statue, so we need to find that statue. You should be very careful of the enemies out here. They are quite dangerous. You want to try to avoid them for now. And after we cross over this bridge and head into this grassy patch, we will find the Statue of Onyx. Yep, that's that statue we were looking for. We'll use one of our free warp boots to warp back to Bryn Mawr. And we can equip the Statue of Onyx. And we'll need to talk to him first, and then you can press the button to give him the statue. And then he gives you a gas mask. I'm not sure how that works. Did he have the gas mask to try to find the statue and he didn't need it anymore? I'm not sure I understand, but we need the gas mask. There's going to be a poisonous swamp that we need to enter very shortly, and without the gas mask, we will quickly get killed in there. And so that's where we're going to head. Make sure you have your rabbit boots on. Those dark swampy areas will deal you damage if you step on them, and so you want to try to jump over them to avoid taking as much damage as possible. Make your way to the right here and then come up and go through this little passageway, but make sure you have that gas mask equipped. If you enter this swamp without the gas mask on, you will quickly die. Now, it's a good idea to at least step outside to create a checkpoint, but saving the game might be a better plan. And you'll see that we can't damage these enemies in here, so we just need to go over and up and over again, and then all the way up. And here we'll find the town of Oak. Now, the people in the town of Oak all just say go in peace, although the implication is that they don't speak the same language that we do. They don't speak the English. So we need to find a way to communicate with them, and the way that we'll be able to do it is with telepathy. You remember that Zebu used telepathy to communicate with us, so we need to learn that magic spell. To do that, we need to go back into the Cordell Plains and make our way all the way up north and cross this rock bridge. We can do a fun trick here. This guy Tornell is one of the 4 wise men, and he wants us to fight his student, a guy named Storm, to prove ourselves to him. But instead, we can just use our warp boots and warp to the town of Leaf. Don't warp to any other towns. And we'll just get the telepathy magic without fighting Storm. Fighting Storm is actually pretty annoying. You have to mash the B button very quickly, and it's a whole thing, so it's nice to be able to skip it. And then we can return to the town of Bryn Mawr to replace all the warp boots that we use and buy them for free from the store. Now, you can actually buy as many pairs of warp boots as you want in one trip to the store, although sometimes I like to be able to come out between each one and make sure I got the warp boots. But in any case, you want to max out on warp boots here because we are going to be using them frequently. Once you have at least 3 pairs of warp boots, we are going to warp to the town of Oak. Because we have the telepathy magic, now the people of Oak will understand us when we talk to them because we're talking to them through our mind. And this woman says that we need to find her child in the swamp, and so we're going to go back into the poison swamp. Make sure you have your gas mask equipped. We're going to head all the way down here, and there is the child. So talk to him. And then come all the way back up, then left 1 space, and then all the way up again. And it's that simple. We'll be back to the town of Oak, and he'll go back to his mother, and in there we'll be able to get a key item. This is the insect flute. We'll need that item to fight the next boss, but that's not all. Up here, if we talk to the village elder, we'll get our next sword, the Sword of Fire. Now, if you thought that last trick where we didn't have to fight Storm was cool, wait till you see this trick. So we equipped the sword, and we saved the game, and then reset. Now we have the Ball of Fire, but we didn't actually ever get the Ball of Fire, so we have the benefits of it without having to collect it. Now, if we ever open the menu it's going to take away this benefit. Basically what we did was we tricked the game into thinking we had the Sword of Wind equipped, but we have the Sword of Fire equipped. So you have your Sword of Wind, we have the Ball of Wind equipped, then you switch to the Sword of Fire, and then you save the game, you reset, and when you come back, it's as if you have the Ball of Fire. Now this is a level grind loop, and we're going to use that benefit of having the second charge to make this level grind loop a lot easier. So we need to gain 2 levels here. So we got level 4, but we need to get to level 5. We need level 4 to be able to fight the next boss, but having level 5 will make it much easier. And of course we're going to need level 5 later anyway. So just keep going around this circle, fighting these enemies. They're not that difficult when you have your fire sword maxed out with the fake ball of fire. And you can actually do this with any sword later in the game as well. You can equip one and then switch to it and save the game and reset, and you'll be able to have the benefits of a higher level. But later in the game, you need to switch weapons frequently, so not being able to open the menu is a big problem. And that's it. We got level 5. After doing all of that level grinding, we definitely want to save the game, but opening the menu will take away the benefits of that trick we were using. So you see now we only have the level 1 fire sword, but that's okay for now. Head back into the swamp and you'll notice that we can actually damage the enemies here now. So that's a good sign, we're leveled up high enough. We want to head all the way to the top over here and go back into the town of Oak. We need to do a little bit of preparation before we fight the boss. So let's use the inn to make sure we have full health. And up here, there's a store that sells a new item, the Fruit of Power. And we can use the discount trick to buy it for free. The Fruit of Power restores some of our magic points, so that's a nice item to have. And now we want to equip a specific set of items: the Insect Flute, the Gas Mask, the Refresh Magic, the Sword of Wind, and then we want to pause again and go back to the menu, switch to the Sword of Fire, save the game, and reset. Choose Continue. Now we have all those items loaded up, and we have our level 2 fire sword. So carefully enter the swamp. You want to make your way over to where the boss is. So we're going to go straight over to the right, and then all the way up. And you want to blow the insect flute, and I actually messed up here. You don't want to be standing right in the middle, you get hit immediately if you do that. But anyway, that summons the boss. This is the Insect Queen. The Insect Queen isn't too difficult to defeat. Just don't stand in front of its mouth and charge up to level 2. As soon as it stops shooting the acid, you can go in there and release your level 2 blast, then move out of the way again and charge up. You want to avoid the little flying bugs, but it shouldn't take very long to defeat this boss. And now we have the Ball of Fire legitimately, and we don't have to worry about not opening the menu anymore. Very nice. Once we have the Ball of Fire, we don't need anything from this area anymore, so we're going to use our warp boots to go back to Bryn Mawr. Our next destination is a place called Mount Saber, but before we go there, let's hit up the inn and do a couple things in town. There's a pub over here that we haven't been to. Let's see what's going on in there. If we talk to this guy, he says he just found out a way to get rich quick. Who wants to bet that we might see that guy sometime later? Once we've done everything we want to do in town, buy any items, go to the inn, we're going to exit and follow the wall to the south. So just stay along the mountainside here and come down to the southwest. In here, we'll want to save the game before we enter. This is Mount Saber. As you enter Mount Saber, power your fire sword up to level 2, because there's going to be some snow monsters that pop out of the ground. Take out the snow monsters from far away, or get up close and personal with them and rapidly tap the fire sword to take them out quickly. Shooting them from a distance is the safer way, but rapidly hitting them with the sword is the faster way. The snow monsters are worth 12 experience points, which is quite good at this point in the game. You guessed it, it's time for another level grind. We need to get to level 6 before we move on here. So of course I'm going to speed this up. And what you want to do is just go all the way to the end and then come all the way back, fighting as many snow monsters as you can as you go around. When you get back to the beginning, just go outside and come back in. That will actually create a checkpoint. That's a good way, just in case something goes wrong, you won't be set back that far. The last thing that you want to do is waste a whole ton of time level grinding, and this is one of the longer level grinds in the game. It's still the fastest way to get to level 6 easily though, so just take out the snow monsters, make your way around the loop, and as soon as you hit level 6 you want to go back outside and save your game, because it'll be time to go deeper into Mount Saber. And we almost have it. And there we go, level 6. Now that we have level 6, we want to go and save the game. So I'm just going to pop outside to create a checkpoint, but you may want to actually do the save action. Head on back into Mount Saber and go the same way that we were going on the level grind. Do you remember when we defeated the vampire and we got those rabbit boots? Well, they weren't just so that we can skip over those swamp sections. We're going to use them here to climb up some of these icy flows. Whenever you walk on the ice, you'll slip and slide back down, but if we use our rabbit boots and build up a little bit of momentum, make sure you turn off any other items and magic, you'll be able to jump up there in a couple jumps. It might take you a few attempts. It was tricky for me the first time. Once you're up here, you're across the bridge, we're going to go into that cave. This room is all kinds of annoying. We can't use our fire sword to fight the living rocks here, so we need to switch to the wind sword. Once we defeat the living rocks, we need to switch back to the fire sword to melt this icy wall. Once we melt the icy wall, we should probably switch back to the wind sword, because there's going to be a red wyvern here, and our fire sword won't work on him either. So use the wind sword to take out the red wyverns. But you see that giant spider? Well, the wind sword doesn't work on the giant spiders. So we're going to try to avoid that one for now. Take out this red wyvern, and as we come around here, I would like to take out this last red wyvern with the wind sword before I switch to the fire. But up through that ice wall, we're going to get the Tornado Bracelet, and the Tornado Bracelet is the level 3 upgrade for our Sword of Wind. And level 3 is the highest we'll be able to charge it up. Whenever we charge it to the 3rd level, we'll have to actually use magic power to unleash it. The attack it does is very impressive, so take a look at this. Level 3 charge. It takes 8 magic points to fire that off, but it can be very devastating. I don't want to use it too often, but it's nice to have the Tornado Bracelet. And that's the maximum level of power for the Wind Sword. We're going to find a ball and a bracelet for all 4 of our swords in this game. Head over here and drop down the ice. Make your way over to the right. Drop down this ice. Being careful, you don't want to hit that snow monster when you drop down. And we'll come into another one of these caves. I'm just trying to avoid the living rocks right now because I know I need to blow up this ice wall. And there's a giant spider on the other side. Hitting the giant spiders from below, straight upwards, is the easiest way to damage them. They have some kind of awkward hitboxes, so they're hard to hit from the side. Switching back to the Sword of Wind now in the Tornado Bracelet. There's a medical herb here that you can grab. It's very easy to not charge up to level 3 if you don't want to, because you have to not be moving to charge up. So once you hit level 2, just start moving around and you won't charge it up fully and use your magic points up. But don't be afraid to use a little bit of magic here and there. The Tornado Bracelet is the least expensive magic-wise of the 4 bracelets. Come down here through this passage, and there are just a ton of these red wyverns here. I'm trying to group them together so I can hit them with the same attack multiple times. Head through here and then head up at the fork and go through this passage. There's a couple living rocks here if you want to take them out. You don't have to though. Another red wyvern. These guys are good to hit from far away because they can poison you, and you certainly don't want to get poisoned if you don't have an antidote, or you don't want to get poisoned multiple times and use up all of your antidotes. Anytime you see an enemy that's pink or red in this game, you should be concerned that it might be poisonous. It's kind of like in real life how some animals have bright colors to let other animals know that they're dangerous. Make your way through this cave, following it around the curves, and we will emerge, and look who's here. It's Tornell. He will give us the magic of Teleport, which works the same as Warp Boots. Also in that treasure chest is a magic ring, so make sure that you have a space available for a consumable item, because the magic ring is one of the best consumable items that you can get. It'll refill your magic entirely. Once you do all that, you want to warp back to Leaf, so use your new teleport magic to go back to the town of Leaf, and then come over to the cave where we met Zebu originally. We want to walk all the way around and use our Sword of Fire and the Ball of Fire on that ice wall behind him. You knew we'd have to go through there eventually. So just walk through until you can advance the screen and head backwards. That actually is a passage back to Mount Saber, but we don't need to go there right now. What we need to do is teleport back to Leaf. You'll notice when we return that everybody is gone. What happened? The only one left is this rabbit, and because we have the telepathy magic, we can actually talk to that rabbit. So now we can use our teleport to return to Bryn Mawr, and this would be a good time to use an inn. The one here is only $20, so that's not too bad at all. Well, it turns out the people of Leaf have been captured by the Dragonian army and are being held prisoner at the summit of Mount Saber. Considering we have amnesia and that's the town where we woke up, we definitely have to save our hometown. Those are our people now. Make your way across the Cordell Plains. You may think that we need to enter Mount Saber the same way that we did before, but to get to the summit we need to enter it a different way. We can use our rabbit boots here to avoid taking damage from the swamp, and you want to come around, be careful of these mushroom guys, they are poisonous, and cut through this mountain pass. These enemies are giant slimes, and up here is the other entrance to Mount Saber. There is a way that we could have entered here earlier in the game, but we need to do a very tricky manipulation, and there's really no point in doing it unless you're trying to do a speed run in this game. This pit stop in Mount Saber is called Nadair's Inn. Not only is it an inn though, but there's a full item store where you can buy Fruits of Power or Warp Boots, and you can also save your game here. Not only that, but your teleport spell or warp boots will now return you here as one of the options. Oh, and here's our poor friend from Bryn Mawr that said he could strike it rich. The poor man didn't make it. We knew that would end badly. Make your way down around this curve, and over here we'll overhear some soldiers talking. Make sure that you have your rabbit boots equipped and you don't have any spells on, because the easiest way to get past these guys is to jump over them into that door. So here they come, they're going to try to attack you. Just jump over, and now we're inside the cave. In this cave, we are going to encounter even more enemies that we can't use our fire sword on, so equip the Sword of Wind. You can also equip the Tornado Bracelet, but it's not actually necessary here. These red living rocks take 2 shots of the level 1 sword to defeat, and they actually take 2 shots of the level 2 sword to defeat, so you might as well only charge up to level 1. You may have remembered before when I said pink enemies like that are poisonous, and these are no exception. Keep them far away. You'll use your ball of fire to take out that icy wall, and then switch back on the wind sword, because you certainly don't want to get poisoned very often. Although, when you cross under this bridge, be careful, there could be a living rock under it as you cross under, but on the other side, you'll find a treasure chest, and this one has an antidote in it, so if you did get poisoned, well, you could find an antidote up here and bail yourself out. Head back around the way that you came, being very cautious of the living rock enemies. They don't give you terrible experience points, and we are going to need to level up again soon, so it's not a terrible idea to kill these enemies as you encounter them. The way that we actually need to go was down at the fork, so if you don't need the antidote, you could skip that small detour there, and just head down and out. When we exit, these enemies are called ice entities, and they're only worth 15 experience points each, but you can kill them with 1 shot of the fire sword, and you can line them up so you can hit 2 at the same time, so you can actually level up very quickly here. And I'm going to speed this up, but this is yet another Crystalis level grind. This level grind is especially important because the next boss we have to fight is a guy named General Calbesk, and he might be the most difficult boss in the entire game. He also can't be damaged unless we are at least level 7, so getting to level 7 here is an absolute must. So try to line them up and hit 2 at one time, but it's not completely necessary. Just get the experience points you need and get up to level 7. Once you have level 7, you can head on from here, but the best idea is probably to teleport back to Nadair's Inn. We can use the inn here to get full up on health and magic points. We can also buy items at the item store and save the game. The next thing that we need to do is fight a difficult boss, so we don't want to have to repeat that level grind if we die. Head back the way that we came. I turned off teleport so we can use our rabbit boots if we want to jump a little bit. Head up through this cave. You remember this one with the pink living rocks in it. So we'll switch over to the wind sword and the tornado bracelet. We don't need any more experience points right now. Level 7 will be sufficient. So we're just going to kill the living rocks that are in our way and head down. And we're back at the room with the ice entities, so that wasn't a very long detour to be able to save the game, and certainly worth it. Head back into this cave. Now this time we're going to proceed onward. This enemy is an ice golem. He takes a lot of hits to defeat, but he's worth 35 experience points, so if you can group 2 of them together, it might be worth fighting them. At the fork you want to go to the right. There's a wall here you need to blow up with your fire sword, and behind it there's 2 more of those ice golems. Watch out when they throw their head at you. And we're just shooting them, keeping them far away, trying to group them together so you can destroy them at the same time. And we're going to head up through here. I'm switching over to the wind sword. Up at this stairs. Forgot I need the fire sword to destroy this wall, but we need the wind sword because there's going to be Dragonian soldiers up here. And to fight the Dragonian soldiers, we need to use our wind sword. We want to keep them far away. If you try to hit them with your blade, they'll hit back, and they hit back pretty hard. You just want to keep shooting them until they die, but keep them far away from you. That's the best way to deal with these guys. So wind sword charged up to at least level 1. If you can get a couple of them stacked together, you might want to use the level 2 or even the level 3. But you don't want to waste too much of your magic power so that we'll have it for the boss, so that we can use the refresh magic if our health gets low. Just keep shooting these guys. We do want to stay healthy for the boss fight that's coming up. So just keep shooting them. Oh, that guy got me. I got too close. And I'm going to run by this one. Try to run by that one there, but this is a good spot to take out this guy. Head on down through the tunnel. And we have emerged on the other side. You do not want to get knocked down that ice slide. You'll have to go through the caves all over again, so be careful here. Head up into this cave. Great, more Dragonian soldiers. That is because this is the jail room. I opened that wall right now, but we need to go in this second one first. Up here we'll find some of the villagers from Leaf. Oh, that guy's thankful that we saved him. We'll grab the key to the prison. And yeah, this guy is not as thankful. Remind me not to save that guy next time. Just stay here, buddy. Yeah. Oh, and our friend, the girl that doesn't wear clothes, I mean, hey, it's the post-apocalypse. I'm not going to tell her what to do. You do you, girl, but she actually complains that it's cold. And it's like, well, you know, if you're cold, I mean, pants might be a good start. It's good to know that the villagers from Leaf are safe, and we just need to continue onward. Take out any of these Dragonian soldiers and just keep attacking them from far away. They are very dangerous. This won't be the last time we have to tangle with guys like this. Oh, missed that one. And through the door. And this is it. The boss is right up that stair ahead. General Kelbesk is one of Dragonia's 4 finest. Each one of these 4 finest bosses is only vulnerable to one specific weapon, and Kelbesk is vulnerable to the Sword of Wind. I quickly switched over to the refresh spell, and as soon as the battle begins, you can get up in his face and hit him a couple times. And your best bet with this guy is to try to get against the back wall and hit him from the side. You don't want to come in contact with the boss. That deals you a lot of damage. The stones that he kicks at you don't deal as much, so make sure to use refresh anytime your health looks low, and rapidly hit the boss whenever you have an opportunity to do so. You'll take down General Kelbesk very easily. And behind him, we'll find the Elder from Leaf. He tells us about the queen of a town called Portoa, and that's a bit of foreshadowing to the next part of the game. We'll use the Sword of Fire and melt that wall, and on the other side, we'll cut through this cavern. And down here, we'll get another telepathic message. It's from Zebu, and he now gives us the magic of Paralysis. On the other side, we can go down this ice waterfall and head into a new town, the town of Portoa. Portoa is known as the capital of water, and you'll notice right away that it's a lot more well developed than these other towns we've been to. There's a full-on castle here, and there's even a fortune teller, which I imagine would actually be pretty popular in the post-apocalypse. In this armor shop, we can get a platinum shield for free, we can get some bronze armor for free, and we can use the discount to get the platinum armor for the price of the bronze armor. Pretty awesome. The platinum armor is a good bit more powerful than the bronze armor, so don't miss out on that. If you need to use the pawn shop and sell your free bronze armor that we just got, as well as some of these other items, we don't need any of these lesser armors. They don't have any other enhancements that we want to keep them around for. So if you need some extra money, this is a nice time to dump some stuff we don't need. To advance the story here in Portoa, we need to go check and see what's going on with the Queen. The first time we see the Queen, she tells us that she's bored, and she also thinks it's pretty cool that we climbed Mount Saber. And that guy's blocking a door in the back there, which is pretty interesting. And when we leave and come back, this guy tries to block us. And the Queen doesn't want to see anyone right now, which is weird because we just saw her. Now if we carefully move to the left and paralyze that guy with our new Paralysis spell, we'll notice that the Queen's chamber is empty. And that door behind there, well, we can't go very far in there right now. We need a new sword. We need the Sword of Water. But over here is that fortune teller. The fortune teller tells us we should go see the Queen. Well, I wonder how she knew that the Queen would be back in her chamber now. Weird. Alright, yeah, we won't be rude to the Queen, fine. Now this time, she'll tell us there's a cave behind the waterfall, and she'll give us the Flute of Lime. In that cave behind the waterfall, there's going to be some people that were turned to stone by Medusas, and the Flute of Lime is a consumable item that can be used to turn them back to normal. If you get turned to stone though, you won't use the Flute of Lime on yourself, it's for other people. And there actually is another person that will be turned to stone in this cave, so we'll need to find a second Flute of Lime in here to turn him back. These enemies are called crabs. They're pink, so you know that they're poisonous. And you can't kill them with the fire sword, so take out whatever ones that you can with your Sword of Wind. We're going to go right here at the fork, and we're going to need to switch to the fire sword to get through another one of those ice walls. So push on through the ice wall, and make your way through the stair up here, and this is where you need that Flute of Lime. There's actually a way to sneak behind these guys by rapidly tapping the A button, so you don't need the Flute of Lime, but I mean, if you want to be able to free these people, that's how you do it. Head on up through the stairs, and here are the Medusas that turned them to stone. Unfortunately, we don't have the sword that we need to fight Medusas. We need the Sword of Water. So what we're going to do instead is use our Paralyze magic. Be careful of those blasts they shoot, those will turn you to stone. And just use the Paralyze magic whenever you need to get past these guys. Treat them as extremely dangerous. Move slowly up here, there's going to be a Medusa that pops up. Paralyzed and go through and go to the right at the fork here. And in this treasure chest is the Sword of Water we needed. Now we can fight back against the Medusas, and fighting back is what we're going to do. The Medusas are worth 50 experience points each, and we need to make ourselves level 8 soon, so it is very important that we kill as many of the Medusas as we can. Treat this as a level grind. We still want to use the Paralyze spell though. The Medusas are very dangerous, and paralyzing them is the best way to deal with them. You also don't want to get stuck and hit a Medusa that you've already paralyzed. once you paralyze a Medusa, you would ideally not want to just push them down like that. Instead, what you want to do is push them into a wall. Pushing a Medusa into a wall will make them easy to hit, and you won't mess up and accidentally walk into a paralyzed Medusa and take a bunch of damage. That just feels dumb. Head across here, make sure to take out any Medusas in your way. Any experience points that you need to get to level 8 when you leave this cave, you'll have to fight monsters that give you less EXP. So you want to take out as many of the Medusas as you can. You do need to watch your magic though. You'll want to be able to teleport out of here, so you want to save some magic points for that. But it's more important that you paralyze the Medusas. We have a Fruit of Power we can use to give ourselves magic points back, and we also have a Warp Boots that we can use as a last resort. It's nice to always carry one pair of Warp Boots with you, so that if you do run out of magic and you need to teleport somewhere, you have those Warp Boots for it. So until I can get a whole bunch of magic rings, which will happen later in the game, I like to keep one Warp Boots as one of my items. We got a second Flute of Lime, and you might wonder where we're going to use it. Oh, right up here. You may remember this guy from Bryn Mawr. It's Arcana. He's the one that we found that statue for, and he gave us the gas mask. And this time he gives us an item called the Shield Ring. And the Shield Ring is really nice. It doubles our natural shield defense, so the defense that we use against ranged attacks. And once you have the Shield Ring, we don't need to do anything else in that cave. So use your teleport magic to go back to Portoa. And you want to visit with the Fortune Teller. Once you visit with the Fortune Teller says that we should go and find the Ball of Water. So that's our next mission. But first I want to get level 8. There it is. Just needed to take out one enemy, so did pretty good on grinding those Medusas. And you're going to head down here at the swamp and cut over to the left. We'll enter into this little grove down here on the far left. This area leads to where we can get the Ball of Water, and we'll need the Ball of Water to freeze water passages so that we can walk across them. So this guy says that we need to enter this tree and meet someone named Messiah. Who is that? And here's where the plot thickens. Inside this tree is another one of those cryo chambers from 100 years ago, and there's a message from a girl named Messiah who clearly knows who we are. We had gotten so wrapped up in this battle against the Empire, we almost forgot about our own amnesia. But we'll have to not worry about that for the moment. Right now, we need to go behind the Queen's chamber, and we can use the Ball of Water to freeze these passages and cross over. It's a little bit strange that the Fortune Teller's chamber is connected to the Queen's chambers, and that's because, lo and behold, the Queen and the Fortune Teller were the same person all along. What a twist. Yeah, it doesn't take M. Night Shyamalan to figure that one out. But the Queen is actually one of the 4 sages, Athena, and she gives us the spell of Recover, which is a very handy spell that will cure us from poison, from petrification, or paralysis. But it costs 24 mana, so make sure you have it. Before we leave here, we need to use a medical herb on this dolphin. Talk to the dolphin first, then use the medical herb. That's the best way to do it. And you'll get the shell flute. We'll need to use the shell flute in the next area so that we can ride that dolphin. Right now we need to take a little detour, so we warped back to Bryn Mawr. We can use the inn here to refill our magic points. It only costs $20, might as well. Now that we have the ball of water, there are several watery passages that we can freeze in this area, and we will want to go and enter a new town, the town of Amazons. It had been alluded to by several characters before that there was a town of all women, and that's where we're headed. So make your way across here, and head all the way down to the bottom, go past this swamp, and here it is. Now, in this town, they don't like men, and you need to position yourself carefully here so that you can use the Paralyze spell on this guard. Inside, don't talk to anyone and go down these stairs, and grab the Blizzard Bracelet. Now we have full power on our Sword of Water. Also, while we're here, we should stop at this armor shop and use the discount trick to get the Sacred Shield. We definitely are going to need it in the next area. The Sacred Shield is actually very powerful anyway, so it's a nice item to have. Once you have the Blizzard Bracelet and the Sacred Shield, we're going to teleport back to Portoa. We have 2 short caves that we need to complete before we can get out of this area. The first is so we can get an item called the Carapace plant, which we need to give to the Queen of the Amazons, and that way she'll give us an important late game item. We have the Blizzard Bracelet, so let's try it out, and you can see it just destroys these Beastman enemies. They don't have a chance. It does take 16 magic points to use though, so you might not want to use it all the time. Head down here past that swamp. We're going to need to freeze a small part of the river over here, so look for that as you head downwards. There it is. Freeze it over and head across. Try to jump over the swamp so you don't take a bunch of damage, and be careful of these flying Medusa head enemies. I like to use the full power of the Sword of Water to take them out. They can poison you. Of course, you only need to spend 24 magic points to use the Recover magic, so you can see that it's not quite as big of a deal to get poisoned as it was before. These enemies can paralyze you, but we have the Sacred Shield, so it doesn't work on us. In fact, that Paralyze attack absolutely does nothing against us. We'll need to use the Sword of Wind to break through this wall, and we can switch back to the Sword of Water because it's our strongest weapon against these giant spiders. We can't use it against the other enemy here though. These are called Earth entities, and they are related to the Ice entities that we were leveling up on before. The Water Sword doesn't work against them, and I switched to the Wind Sword because it also works on the red Wyrens that are also in this area. The Earth entities will give you 100 experience points, so they're definitely worth fighting. Now, the Wind Sword doesn't work on this mushroom, and this guy can poison us, of course, so we're going to use the Fire Sword against him. You can't even use the Water Sword on that guy, it has to be the Fire. And we'll switch back to the Sword of Wind to remove this wall. Trying to get closer to it so it'll actually work. And we'll continue on through to the left. Just take out this mushroom so we don't get poisoned and have to waste a bunch of magic points. And head on down through the door. More of those Earth entities. You want to kill as many of these as you can. It's going to give us a jump start on the next level. We actually don't have to do this cave right at this point in the game. We won't need this item until later on. But these enemies are very good at getting us to the next level. So we might as well clear this out while we can and get those experience points. Head on through to the right. There's another Earth entity here I'll take out, and they're easy to remove and give you so many EXP. And that's it. We're on the other side, and there's a grove of flowers in the upper right, and that's where we're going to head. Just walk around in there until you get the Carapace plant. And then we'll use our teleport magic and send ourselves back to Portoa. We can use the inn here to replenish our magic points. And the last thing we need to do before we leave Portoa is get an item called the Fog Lamp. We'll need to give the Fog Lamp to the guy at the boat shed in Portoa, and then he'll let us borrow his boat. Very nice of him. We'll need that boat to get to the next area, which is called the Angry Sea, and I think the Angry Sea is one of my favorite chapters in this game. It's a fun one. Head across this swamp and freeze the river. And we are up in this cave where we need to use our wind sword again. We'll be using that wind sword a lot, so keep that thing ready whenever you see those gray walls. There's more of those giant spiders that can paralyze us here, but yeah, they can't paralyze us. Now, being paralyzed might not be what you think it is. It sounds like you're unable to move, but that's not what it means in this game. That's what it means for enemies when we use the paralyze spell on them, of course. In this game, it means that you can't charge up your weapon up into level 1, 2, or 3. And that's a huge problem because you need a level 2 charge to remove these walls. So being paralyzed is a huge pain. And the recover magic or the lysis plant, like we just got here, lysis being the end of the word paralysis, those are ways that we can get rid of it, but since we already have the sacred shield, we just don't have to worry about it at all. These purple earth entities are exactly the same as the pink ones, so just treat them as such. And we're going to make our way across here to the right. We went and got that lysis plant. You don't have to go up there and get it, it's not required. Head down here through the door. There's 2 earth entities in here. They're pretty easy to defeat with the fire sword. And head on through. At this fork we're going to go down, and there's some of those bat enemies here. They're very annoying. We'll use our tornado bracelet and the wind sword to break through this wall. And we're back on the fire sword to take out the mushroom. Just keep moving through, head down, and we'll need to charge up our wind sword to break through this, of course. And we're almost at the end of this one. Head on over to the right and down through the door. Got the fire sword out to take care of the mushrooms. And we're going to make our way to the left. And there we go. We got level 9. So we won't need to worry about getting level 9 later by grinding on other enemies. That's the ideal thing to do. It will save us a lot of time. Just make sure you fight all the enemies that you see in this cave and the previous one. And level 9 should not be a problem to achieve. Head on down at this fork. Wind sword will take that out. And there's another one. We want to really make sure that we know how to use the wind sword here, and that we're not paralyzed. But for now, we might as well pick up whatever experience points we can from the enemies that are in our way. Can't paralyze me, buddy. Nice try. Keep making your way across the room here and head on up. We'll go over this wooden bridge, and once again we need to use that Sword of Wind. Break down the wall. I'm not sure how the wind actually destroys a stone wall. It doesn't make a ton of sense. Does it blow it apart? I mean, that's some serious wind. Alright, keep heading through. Break another wall. And there it is, the fog lamp. You can use your teleport magic now and get the heck out of here and back to Portoa. I always use the inn after teleporting just to make sure that we have full magic points. And you just want to go straight across to the left. That's where the boathouse is. in here, we'll see a guy who complains that he's missing a fog lamp. He's not open now. Go away. Yeah, well, we got what you need, man. Oh. Oh, wow, okay. Now that we've given him the fog lamp, he's like, yeah, use the boat all you want, man. And that's it. We finished Portoa, and it's time to try to calm the angry sea. In this building, we'll meet Wise Man Kensu, and he's complaining that he lost something. And guess what? So did we. We forgot to tie up the boat. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Well, it's a good thing that we have the shell flute, and we can summon a dolphin. He'll take us wherever we need to go, and if you don't have level 9 yet, you're going to run into some trouble here. You won't be able to fight these fishman enemies or the octopi, so you should go back to Portoa and farm the enemies in those caves before you come back to this area. Head into this cave down in the bottom, and inside you'll run into the love pendant. That's a key item that we're going to need later. And there is a new town here in the Angry Sea. It's the town of Joel. Now, it's not a particularly exciting town, but hey, it's a place that we can go, fill up our health, use an inn, but there's not a ton of good new equipment here for us to buy. Over here in the village elder's house, we'll find out what's going on in the city of Joel. A witch came and told them that the sea gods were angry and demanded a sacrifice, and then a girl volunteered herself to be that sacrifice. The girl was our friend Messiah. So yeah, we definitely have to find out what happened to her. She's the key to learning about our past. The item store has a number of options if you need anything. Right now, we're pretty much maxed out on consumable items, so I'm not going to grab any items this time. Outside of the town of Joel, we can summon our dolphin. Before we get into any intense battles here in the Angry Sea, it's time to level ourselves up. And there is an awesome level grind area up here in this jellyfish cave. Each one of these jellyfish is worth 160 experience points, which is just awesome. You can just clear out this room of jellyfish, then exit and do it again. You'll want to make sure to have your recover magic available. These jellyfish can poison you. I'm going to speed this up, of course. Just clear them out as quickly as you can. If you get low on magic points, just teleport back to the city of Joel and use the inn, and then come back and continue your level grind. We need to get not 1, but 2 levels here, so we want to come out of this level 11. And that's level 10, but yeah, we're not done. Just keep grinding on these jellyfish. This is one of the fastest and easiest level grinds in the entire game, so you'll certainly want to take advantage of this. Regardless of what you decide to do after this, you want to make sure that you get to level 11, but I am going to show you a trick right after we finish this level grind that will allow you to skip the entirety of the Angry Sea chapter. There isn't anything really important that you need to do here in the Angry Sea, but it is kind of a fun chapter to play. It has a little bit of a Star Tropics vibe to it, so I'm going to show you the trick, but I am going to play through all of the quest materials here. Once you have level 11, teleport back to the city of Joel. We're just heading back to the city of Joel to use the inn so we can refill our magic points and health. And then we're going to go to the area where we can do that trick. Now, to do the trick, you're going to need to use your rabbit boots, but we need to have the shell flute equipped first so we can summon the dolphin. So get on the dolphin and then turn off your magic and everything except for the rabbit boots. To get to where we need to go, you want to go up above those whirlpools and then just keep moving left and up and get around this rock formation. We're going to head to the altar where we'll eventually calm the Angry Sea. And you see there's a whirlpool blocking us up above there, and that's one of the things we're going to be able to fly over. So here's the trick. You go up to this shore and you jump off the dolphin down and to the left. Just keep trying it until it works, and if it works, you're flying. You'll notice that you actually are using magic points to fly, so it is like using the flight spell. And if you come up here, you can find the city of Swan, and then you don't have to do anything here in the Angry Sea. You've completely skipped it. Now, I'm not going to do that, so we'll go back to the city of Joel. But if you do use the trick, make sure to fly in between that area where the whirlpool was. You'll gain the barrier magic when you do that. It's a little bit tricky to do, but there's no enemies that are pressuring you there, so you can attempt it as many times as you want. And if you choose to actually finish the Angry Sea quest, we want to come back to our jellyfish cave. That's actually the beginning of the next cave that we needed to enter. Now that we're inside the cave, we're going to switch on our shield ring, and you can see what that does. The defense stat of 38 is our enhanced ranged defense with the shield ring on. And you know, we've never really used the full power of the flame bracelet yet, so that's what that does. That big flaming blast takes 16 magic points. We've actually had the flame bracelet since we defeated General Calbesque, but we never really used it to its full power yet. We can freeze a path with our water sword here and then make our way up. Just follow the path around here. And down, and we have to cross over again, you know what to do. And then we're going to head back up and over to the left. We should still have our Sacred Shield equipped. Some of these enemies will try to paralyze us. And that is not fun. You can recover to remove the paralysis, but that wastes 24 magic points, so it's not ideal. And we'll need our wind sword here. Yep, we're never going to not be breaking these walls, it seems like. And in here, we'll get a consumable item, a magic ring. You want as many magic rings as you can at this point in the game. They refill your magic entirely, so they are one of the best items. I've said it before and I'll say it again, don't miss out on magic rings at this point in the game. Head down to the left here, and then back up. We'll need to clear another one of these wind walls. Just follow the path around and take the stairs. There's a pretty good item we can get in here if we head past that fork to the right. We do need to go that way later, but for now we're going to head down and go around this curve. And we're going to skip the way that heads downward and just keep making our way to the left. Take out these green wyverns. They can't paralyze us, but they are in the way. So I'm just going to keep attacking them, and we'll need to use our wind sword to destroy a wind wall, as usual. And just make your way up, and it'll curve to the right. And go down the stairs here, and take this path. You don't want to get that first treasure chest. You want to get the one that's across the water, so we're going to freeze the water and head across. This item is called the Iron Necklace, and it's a lot like the shield ring, except it's for melee defense, which is generally better. You see we have a 25 melee defense right now. Watch what happens when we equip the Iron Necklace. It goes up to 36. Pretty sweet, so let's keep that equipped for now. And I'll show you why you don't want to get the other treasure chest. It's a trap. That's right, it's a mimic. And that thing can poison you, and if you get close enough to try to collect it, it will definitely hit you, so stay away from that thing. Head back the way that we came. We're going to go to that fork that was to the right that we skipped originally. You know where it is. Just head down here to the right. And back up. And go over, skip that first one and go up, and then go to the right. And now we're going to go down, and you need to wait for this platform. You don't want to fall down there. You won't die, but you'll have to go back through a bunch of stuff, and you don't want to do that. Wait until it gets to the end and walk off, and then just follow the path. Up here we'll find another consumable item, so I'm going to throw away an antidote. We have the recover magic now, so I'm just grabbing this one for now. It's a lysis plant. It's, you know, 6 of one, half dozen of another. And this town is known as Zombie Town. It's empty, and you can save here, so it's a good idea to save here. Well, I said it was empty, and that's not entirely true. There is one guy here. His name is Clark, and he is the village elder of Joel's son. He came here to check this place out, and it turns out that witch was Sabera, one of Dragonia's finest 4. So yeah, she's bad. She told them to sacrifice Messiah, but I don't know if that was just a sick joke. In any case, we need to take her out, and this is her castle. Sabera is teamed up with Dragonia, alright. There's Dragonian soldiers all over this place, so you'll need to use your Sword of Wind to deal with them. Try not to get too close when you're attacking them, and we'll switch to the Sword of Water to fight a mini-boss up here. It's our old friend, the Vampire. I don't assume that it's the same one since the previous vampire blew up, but with the Sword of Water, we'll make short work of the vampire this time. Very easy. We'll need to throw away one of these lysis plants to be able to get this Fruit of Power, but that restores our magic points, and Fruit of Power is one of the more handy consumable items, so we certainly want to get that. I'm also just going to use that medical herb now, so we can free up more item slots. These invisible wraith enemies are really obnoxious. You need to use a level 3 magic attack to reveal them, and then they'll be vulnerable. But we don't have a lot of magic points right now, and we want to save some for the boss, which is coming up, so I'm just going to try to avoid them for now. Up through the door. This is it. This is the boss. Or is it? It looks like we found Messiah. Don't be fooled. Just strike her with your sword several times. This is actually an illusion created by Sabera. Make sure your fire sword is equipped, and as soon as the battle begins, get behind Sabera and try to hit her 7 or 8 times, then quickly move out of the way. Then charge up to level 3. You want to lit off the level 3 blast right next to Sabera when she's still and shooting those shots, and if you got her enough times at the beginning, it'll only take 1 level 3 blast to finish her off. She left behind a broken statue, and that's the item we're going to need to calm the angry sea. You can just drop down that pit, and you'll see that the zombie town is back to normal now. Pretty nice. Now, we can't calm the angry sea with a broken statue, so before we leave, let's go see Clark. Now that Sabera is defeated, he'll give us the eyeglasses. Now that we have the eyeglasses, it's time to get out of here, and I don't have enough magic points to use teleport, so I'm going to use my spare warp boots that I always keep around just in case we don't have enough magic points. We'll go to the inn and refill our health. When we visited the item store in Joel before, you may have thought it was strange that they sell the alarm flute here. Like, didn't we use that already? Well, we need to get another one, so make sure you have a space for a consumable item. And they are cheaper in the town of Leaf, but money is pretty much meaningless at this point in the game. In this shed behind the Elder's house, we need to use our glasses, which look suspiciously like a weird gas mask. What are people using as glasses in the post-apocalypse? Is it a prescription gas mask? Well, over here inside the lighthouse we'll find Kensu, and because we can't just nudge him to wake him up, we have to use an alarm flute. What happens to the alarm flute after we play it? Does it, like, explode? Well, he gives us the glowing lamp, and the glowing lamp is the key to fixing the broken statue. All we actually need to do is select the glowing lamp from our items, and then use it. It's that simple. Bam, the statue is fixed. So I guess the idea here is that the statue was on that altar, and Sabera stole it and broke it. So yeah, I guess that is going to anger the gods of the sea. Now that our statue is fixed, we simply have to take it to that altar. You remember where it is, right? It's where we did that weird flight trick. So just head on over here to the left, and once we use the statue up here on the altar, the angry sea will be calmed. and those whirlpools will go away. So now we can go through that channel right up here to the north. Take out this octopus, and we're going to head up here, and you'll see that we can go through up here now. And as we do, we actually gain the magic of barrier, which is pretty awesome. The magic of barrier is very effective at blocking projectiles, and it'll be pretty useful when we're fighting some bosses in the game, so we want to make sure to get it. If you did the flight trick, it's very important that you fly through that passage so that you can also get the barrier spell. And with that, we're on to the town of Swan. As we enter the town of Swan, we should save our game, and there's going to be some tantalizing new options for armor and shields here, but we're not actually going to be doing a lot of fighting just yet. Instead, we need to go to this shed where we'll meet Storm. Storm has a message for us. The Resistance is building an army at the town of Chiron, and we need to find Kensu, who will tell us how to get there. I quickly wanted to buy some warp boots since I used my spare warp boots before, and we will check out this armor store. In here there's a lot of good options, but if we just wait until we get to the next town, we'll be able to get the best items for free. We'll come over here to this tavern, and this guy has a weird comment about Kensu. Let's use the Paralysis spell on him. Yep, that was Kensu alright. And he disappears after you paralyze him. And we need to do that again in here. Kensu is once again the one on the left. And this time he is going to give us his power, but we need to give him the love pendant, which we picked up a while ago. So equip that and give it to Kensu. It was given to him by Asina. And now we have the magic of change, which allows us to change our form. This is very important magic. Now that we have it, we can actually go to the town of Amazons. And we wanted to grab the mirror shield as well. You remember how everyone here used to hate men? Well, they're going to be a lot friendlier to us when we transform into a woman, even if we did it right in front of their face. Yeah, this is the queen, Arylis. We were in this chamber before, but we didn't talk to anyone. Now we're going to use that Carapace plant, and we'll give it to Arylis, and then she'll give us a very important item. This is the Bow of Moon. The Bow of Moon will be critical for opening up a late game area, so it's important that we grab it. Once we have it though, we can return to Swan, and we're going to use our change spell again, this time over here at the edge of town. There's some Dragonian guards and they won't let us through, but if we change into a soldier, well, now they'll let us pass no problem. Head through to the left. We move slower when we're transformed, so we can just turn it off. And this area is called the Goa Valley. And up here is the Fortress of Goa. We can't really do much here in Goa right now. There's soldiers blocking all the exits, but if we walk up in there, we'll be able to use it as a teleport destination, so it's worth stopping at just for a moment. Head down here on the far left. This is Mount Hydra. We're not going to be doing much action on Mount Hydra yet. There's a hidden town in here if we head over to the left. We can use our water sword to freeze lava. Surprising. And just head on into this door. We need to go through a short cave here, so just head around down into the stairs. And on the other side there are some different kinds of guards. This time we're going to transform into Stom. Oh, hi Stom. So since they think that we're him, they let us in. And this is the town of Chiron. Chiron is the stronghold of the Four Sages, and the capital of the resistance against the Empire. So they not only have great gear, but they have great prices. There is an empty space next to the battle shield and the ceramic suit, so we can get both of those for free. The ceramic suit has some of the highest defense in the entire game, And the Battle Shield is also very good. In the item store, we can buy magic rings, finally. And not only that, we can use the discount trick to get them for the price of a medical herb, just $180. Up here we'll see Stom, and we need to go into this castle, where we'll meet with Zebu. Zebu tells us where the Sword of Thunder is. It's in the Cave of Styx. The Cave of Styx is conveniently located right here on Mount Hydra, and conveniently Zebu has a key for it. Thanks, Zebu buddy. Once you have that, you can make your way out of the town, but before we leave, I think it makes a lot of sense to just get rid of items like medical herbs, antidotes, and fruit of powers, maybe even warp boots, and we'll keep the one warp boots. But we just should get a bunch of magic rings. Magic rings will fill our magic points up entirely, and so in a lot of ways, they're just an upgraded version of those other consumable items. If you need health, just use the refresh spell, and then you can use a magic ring to get your magic points back. If you need to warp somewhere, you can use the teleport spell if you have a magic ring, right? So you might as well just get magic rings. They're the most versatile item. So pick up as many as you can while you still can there in Chiron Town. And then just make your way back out into Mount Hydra, and this time we're going to actually start attacking some enemies in here. Make your way up at the fork and enter this cave. This cave has some dangerous lizard man enemies in it, so we're going to equip our Paralysis magic, and then we can freeze them in place and easily defeat them. We're going to head over here to the left, and cross this wooden bridge, and head up around the curve. There's going to be another one of those areas where we need to freeze the lava, so do that with the water sword. And then just keep making your way up around the curve and to the left this time, across another wooden bridge. Try to avoid those puddle enemies, they're pretty annoying. And climb all the way up, and this is it. Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. This is the Cave of Styx. The Key of Styx would get you in, and this is where we need to use our barrier magic. It looks like these guys are shooting weird cigars or something, but hold down your barrier magic as you pass by them, and then when the path forks you want to head over to the left. Charge up your weapon. This enemy is very important. That sorcerer gives us 672 experience points, an absolutely absurd amount. Now if we use our rabbit boots and jump right as we exit the room below, we can jump over him so that we won't get hit as we go through. And you guessed it, we need to do another level grind. So let's speed this up. Just keep jumping over the sorcerer and then come around to the side and attack him. And it didn't take very long, we already got to level 12, but why stop there? We need another level, so quickly kill some more sorcerers at 672 experience points each. This is going to go quite quickly. Use your refresh magic if you need to refill some health. We have a bunch of magic rings now, so it's not that big of a deal if we run out of magic points. And just keep taking out the sorcerer and watch those experience points rise. I mean, this is a really, really fast way to grind levels. Once we have level 13, we'll be able to move on, but if you felt like going higher, you could. It's just not very necessary. There will be better experience grinds later that we can take advantage of. Once we did all that level grinding, I'm going to equip the iron necklace again. Now if you have very low health or magic, you may want to warp out of here so that you can save. But if you're doing alright, just press on. We don't have to go much farther, and we're going to be able to get that Thunder Sword. Try to avoid the enemies. We have high enough levels, we don't really need the experience points. And at those red areas in the acid water there, you can freeze them with the water sword to create platforms. Head across and then down and around. Those guys are worth a good bit of experience points as well, but not even close to as good as the sorcerers. and you want to head right over here at this fork and go up these stairs. And then you're going to go up here, and we're going to equip our flame bracelet and fire sword. And we also want that mirror shield. The mirror shield will protect us from being petrified, and these guys shoot some balls at you that will try to petrify you, so they're dangerous. We can use our rabbit boots here to minimize damage from the spikes. So just jump, 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 jump. And head over here to the right. And that's it. We found the Sword of Thunder. The final elemental sword is ours. And once you get it, Asina will warp us back to the town of Chiron. And we'll meet a new person. This guy's name is Azteca. He gives us some interesting information. He says that we and Messiah have some powers to defeat evil. So that's interesting. Sounds like this guy knows more about us than we do. So according to this Azteca guy, our hero and Messiah are some kind of legendary heroes. Unfortunately, Emperor Dragon is trying to use Messiah to his own evil will. And without our help, well, everyone will live in despair. Sounds pretty ominous. Well, everybody tells us to be careful, because it's time for the real battle to begin. Storm wants to have a rematch with us at some point, even though we didn't really fight him the first time. And in here we can fill back up at the inn. We're actually pretty low on magic points and health after that level grind. And now we can teleport out of here and go back to Goa. So you may remember from our brief stop in Goa before that all the buildings were blocked off, but not anymore. And this soldier here, that's actually Kensu in disguise. Very sneaky Kensu. Up ahead is a fortress, and to get in we need to use that barrier magic just like before. So just as we did in the Cave of Styx, block these cigar-like projectiles, but at the end you'll see this demon face wall, and you want to kind of step to the left of it so you don't get hit by the fire, and we'll receive a telepathic message to return to the town of Chiron. The situation in Chiron is not good. Most of the people are dead or dying, including many of our favorites, Arcana, and yep, even Stom. They were butchered by one of Dragonia's finest four, an evil sadist named Mado. Well, it's time that we made Mado pay. Here he is. Oh, he even laughs at us and says that we're going to join them. Yeah, we'll see. Equip your Sword of Water and the Blizzard Bracelet. I also put on the Battle Shield and the Refresh Magic, as well as the Iron Necklace. Charge up to level 3 against this guy. Make sure you have enough magic points so that you can do it multiple times, but the way he bounces around the room, you can't really hit him very effectively with any of your other attacks, and the Water Sword is his weakness. But just a few of the full-powered water attacks will take him down, and he will leave us the Ball of Thunder. So yeah, not only do we have the Sword of Thunder now, but we also have the ball. Sweet. The next thing we want to do is teleport back to Goa. Now that we have the Ball of Thunder, we can actually destroy that demon face wall, but we don't want to do that just yet. Let's go to the inn first, and then go back into the Goa Valley and head south. Below the Goa Valley here, there's an oasis in the desert. So just make your way down and follow a little bit to the left. There it is. Past the palm trees, there's some red hot sand, and that will damage us, so we can use our rabbit boots to just kind of bounce around, like we did in the swamp areas before. That way we won't take too much damage. And then we'll want to enter this door. Inside this cave, we'll want to make sure to equip our Sacred Shield, and probably the Refresh Magic and the Iron Necklace as well. But there are enemies in here that could paralyze us, so that's why we need the Sacred Shield. We're charging the Sword of Thunder up to level 2 just in case there's this annoying flying enemy that comes and attacks us. Hopefully we won't see one, but take the left at that fork and then head up. And we'll come to the top and follow the path around to the right, and then you'll find the leather boots. The leather boots are a very handy item that will keep hazards on the floors from damaging us, like the swamp, the hot sand, and that's the enemy right there. That's the one that we were worried about. That thing is very annoying, and it will relentlessly chase you, so if one of those comes up on your 6, turn around and fight it off. We're going to head down here and we'll use our water sword to cross over. And then we'll head down and we'll make a right at the fork and head back up. We're going to need to use the water sword again over here. So cross over once more and then head up and to the right. And follow this path around, cross over, and then you want to go down. Follow this around and we're going to hit another water which will let us go back towards the center. Basically we're heading to the middle of this maze. And this is it right here, head up and through the door. This item is the power ring. The power ring is one of the best items that we can get. So now that we have it, we're going to teleport out of here. We'll go back to Goa. The power ring works a lot like the iron necklace or the shield ring. It just adds to our power instead. So it makes us deal way more damage. Yeah, the power ring is definitely something that we wanted. Now that we have it, we can head up into the fortress at Goa. Don't forget about the barrier magic to get past these guys. You want to get a little bit to the left so you don't get hit by the fire from that demon wall, but the Sword of Thunder charged up to level 2 will take it out. Over here, we're going to bear to the left. Watch out for this enemy, it shoots its sword at you. And stay on the ground here and don't go up onto the walls just yet. Head past another narrow area, and then head to the left. And then make your way up, and now we're going to get onto the wall. Follow this path upwards, and then to the right. And we're just going to follow this around for a moment. There's not too many enemies here. Watch out for that annoying bat. And we're going to go down here and around. Yeah, you'd rather attack those guys from far away if you can. They will fight you back. Just follow the path around. And this is it. We're going to fight all the bosses again. So the first one, of course, is General Kelbesk. He's a lot easier now. Just get up on him and start attacking with your wind sword. Now that we have that power ring, these bosses are going to be much easier to beat. I'm going to drop my warp boots so we can get an opal statue. An opal statue is an awesome item. Zebu will refill our health here, but we can also save in this room, which is a strange thing, so make sure you do that. The opal statue, when you have it equipped, if you were to die, it will actually be used automatically, and it will refill your health entirely. It's kind of like the fairy in a bottle in The Legend of Zelda, but supercharged. This is the second floor in the Goa Fortress, and it's a little bit of a maze, so just make your way around here. Go right, we're going to cross over here. We're going to head down to the right. And down here, we need to use up a consumable item, so I dropped a magic ring to get this item, the Fruit of Repun. Now, you may not want the Fruit of Repun, but that's a risk. If we get turned into a slime monster, the Fruit of Repun is the way that we can change back to normal. You can't use the recover magic to fix yourself. You can also exit whatever room you're in, that will change you back, but if you get turned into a slime monster by a boss and you don't have the Fruit of Repun, well, that's a death sentence. Game over. Head up here. We're going to use the Paralysis spell on this lizard man. He's pretty annoying, so we want to make sure to take him out. And the Sword of Thunder will clear this demon wall. This one doesn't spit fire at you, so you don't have to worry about that. Head on up through the door. And of course, this is our second fight with Sabra the Witch. We're going to charge up our Flame Bracelet to level 3. Yeah, she cannot handle this attack. That's all it takes to take her out once you have the Power Bracelet on. I'm going to throw away another magic ring so that I can get another Fruit of Repun. I suppose I could have just used it, but it doesn't matter. We're going to get full magic from Tornell here anyway. Tornell tells us to avenge Stom, and then we're on to the third part of the Goa Fortress. Some new music here. In here there's some Medusa type enemies, so we can equip our Mirror Shield in case they shoot any of those petrification blasts at us. And here's a good spot to use those leather boots. You can see now these spikes don't do us damage at all. Up here we can get another item. I'm going to throw away yet another magic ring to get a second opal statue. The opal statues are like an extra life. I mean, that essentially doubles your HP. So you want to have as many of those as you can possibly get. Make your way down here. We want to head over to the right. We'll put the leather boots on so that we can go down into these spikes without taking any damage. And we want to go all the way down to the bottom. Down here we'll find another item. I'm going to just use a magic ring because it's a magic ring. If you need a magic ring, go down there and get it. If you don't need one, you can skip it. Head over to the left. And we're going to go down to the bottom again. Equip the power ring and go through the door. It's time for another level grind. These spiders give us a whopping 1,280 experience points. So yeah, of course we're going to level grind on these guys. They're pretty easy to kill with the Thunder Sword too. If you need to use any magic here, just to use as much magic as you want. There's a magic ring hidden behind that demon face up there. So yeah, I'm going to speed this up so we can get this done quickly. But feel free to refresh your health anytime you need to refresh, because you'll be able to use a magic ring and then just pick up another one as soon as you finish here. The spiders will quickly get you to level 14. There it is. And I can use my refresh magic to restore my health entirely, so that seems like a good idea. And then we'll be able to use a magic ring to give us all of those magic points back. So, use a magic ring, and there's a magic ring right there in the treasure chest. Once you've done all that and made it to level 14, carefully pass this spider and just drop into this pit up here. Just drop right in. Make sure you have your leather boots on before those so you don't get damaged by the spikes at the bottom. And you also want to have the mirror shield on in case you get hit by the Medusas. Head on up here. We want to go all the way to the top. So make your way up there and go through the door at the end of this path. We want to make sure we have our Sacred Shield equipped because whenever we kill these annoying moth guys, they shoot out a bunch of projectiles that can paralyze you, and that's pretty obnoxious. Now we can actually see those Wraith enemies. Power up to level 3 and let them have it. There's actually going to be a magic ring right ahead, so just let as much magic rip as you want. Yeah, we're really taking these guys out good. Once they're revealed, they're vulnerable. And over here on the right, that's where that magic ring is. So if you have full items, just use one of your existing magic rings beforehand, and also take the time to refill your health, those kind of things. So I'm going to use refresh, and then I'm going to use a magic ring, and then we're going to pick up another magic ring. Alright, so we can be a little bit more conservative with the magic now. Be careful to enter these platforms, you don't want to fall down below. And you'll see they're shooting paralysis beams at you here, but we don't worry about that. We won't be able to be paralyzed because of the sacred shield. Clear out these wraiths, they're pretty annoying. And then just wait here for the platform. There it is. Get on the platform, wait till it gets to the other end. And just head on down and then up and around. Another wraith, watch out for him. And then there's another one of those platforms, so wait for it. You definitely want to be patient with these. And up the stairs, it's time to fight Mado. So equip your Blizzard Bracelet and Water Sword. I'm also going to put on Barrier and the Power Sword, and might as well put on that Opal statue just in case. But this guy's going to go down pretty hard. Power up and let it go. You can use the Barrier spell to block some of his projectiles if you see them coming at you. And Mado is very easy to defeat. He leaves a sacred shield behind. It's like, yeah, we had that already, man. But, you know, you can grab it if you want to. Maybe you'll want to sell it or something. And here is Athena. The last of Dragonia's finest four is a guy named Carmine, and he's a wizard. They're like a weird Dungeons and Dragons party. Charge up your weapon and take care of these wraiths on the other side. Athena was nice enough to give us full health and magic, so we're all fully restocked. And now's a good time to use the paralysis magic on these Black Knight guys. They're very annoying otherwise. Carefully make your way past the Black Knights and go up through this door. In here are more of those spiders, and then you can see this skeleton enemy. If you try to attack it without paralyzing it, it falls apart, but if you paralyze it first, you can attack it freely. Take out these Black Knights. They're worth a good bit of experience points, so they're worth taking the time to take them out. The juice is worth the squeeze, you might say. Make your way through this door. Head on up through this corridor. And this guy can turn us to stone, so we'll switch to the mirror shield. With the mirror shield on, though, we don't even have to avoid those projectiles. And we need our thunder sword here, which we already had equipped. And we'll be able to break through that demon face wall. Head down these stairs. Gonna charge up here. These Sandman enemies are dangerous. You can't damage them when they're in the puddle form. You can only hurt them when they pop up. And they can not only poison you, but actually drain you of your magic points. So that's pretty dangerous. We're using the leather boots here so that we don't take any damage. And this is another magic ring. So we'll refill our health, and then we'll get the magic ring. Head on up to the left. Watch out for the Sandman. And we're going to go all the way up here. We need to use our barrier magic. We kind of need it on anyway though, so just get it ready. Here he is. This is Carmine. We are going to equip our power ring, one of the opal statues. We want to keep barrier on, and the thunder sword is the way to go here. So charge it up to level 2. And basically the idea here is we're going to use barrier to protect ourselves, and then just get up in this guy's face and just start attacking him. That's the best way to do it, but the danger with this guy is he can curse you, and the curse will turn you into a slime, and the curse can go right through your barrier. So if you get cursed, you need to use the Fruit of Repun. That's the one thing that he can do that'll really mess you up. Now that he's defeated, we need to go and save our friend Kensu. So make your way up here, And it looks like he's been afflicted with the curse. We can use the ivory statue to fix him. Unfortunately, we can't just use a Fruit of Repun. And make sure you turn off the opal statue or you won't be able to use the ivory statue. It's a weird thing about that item. It's a consumable that you don't have to press a button to use, but it does stop you from using other things. And with that, you'll get the Flight Magic, which is our final magic spell. And one of the best ones, actually. Make your way through these passages. Before we leave here, there's one more item that we want to pick up. In this cave, they kind of make it seem like you need to use the flight magic to get over this, but we can just use our leather boots. Just walk right through. No damage will be taken. It's a good item to have, those leather boots. I think the game expects you to get them later on. We are going to need the flight magic to cross the water down here, so press the A button to use it. Whenever you're in the air, you'll be losing magic power. Now we're going to equip our Sacred Shield, because there are enemies here that could potentially paralyze us, and you're going to recognize this area in a moment. That's right, this is where we got the power ring. So we actually emerged here from the Goa Fortress. And even the platforms that we already created with the water sword are still here, so we can just follow that same path for a moment. But over here we want to fly up and get the battle armor. Now, the battle armor actually doesn't have as much defense value as our ceramic suit does, but it does protect us from melee attacks that can poison us, so the battle armor is a good thing to have. We're going to teleport to Chiron now, and we can save when we're in there. We need to get one more late game item before we can move on. Do you remember when we got the Bow of Moon from the Queen of the Amazons? Well, we need to get the Bow of the Sun also. And the Bow of the Sun is hidden in this area of Mount Hydra. And the only way we can get it is by having the flight magic, which we have now. So we need to make our way up here. And head across this wooden bridge. Now watch out for these Sandman enemies. They're not as dangerous as the orange ones that we were facing before. And we're going to come into that Cave of Sticks. So come on, sail away and enter the Cave of Sticks. Use your barrier magic, and this time we're going to go right. We went left the previous time. And this is that guy that we were grinding levels on, but he's also on the right side. The bow that we're looking for is not the thing that we're going to get first though. This is a very important item we need first, so we're going to drop that extra Sacred Shield we have and pick up the Psycho Shield. The Psycho Shield is the most powerful shield in the game. Not only does it have the highest defense value, but it also protects from ranged attacks that will paralyze, petrify, or poison. So yeah, we definitely want that. Make your way out of Sticks, and we need to continue on Mount Hydra so that we can get that bow. Make your way around these guys. We have the 3rd level of the Thunder Sword now, and this is what it does. It unleashes a devastating lightning attack. Now, unfortunately, it has a bunch of flashing patterns, so I'll try to call it out whenever I'm going to be using the lightning, but it requires a lot of magic points to use. To use the full power of the Storm Bracelet, it requires 40 magic points. So we're not going to be using it too often. We want to be using our Paralyze magic here though. That will take care of all of these enemies very easily. And up here we need to use our Sword of Wind again to break through yet another wind wall. It just seems like there's no end to those. They want to make sure that you always remember that Sword of Wind. Head on up here. head right. These enemies aren't that difficult to deal with if you use the Paralysis magic. Break through another wind wall. And we're just going to continue on through these caves. This is one of the more difficult items to find. And this is a funny thing, if you use the Thunder Sword on the slime enemies, they get enlarged. So yeah, don't do that if you don't want to have to fight a large slime enemy. They take just a ton of hits to kill. I mean, so many. Watch this. Still attacking it. Still attacking it. There we go. That many. We don't need that treasure, so skip by it. This is why we needed the flight spell. We needed to get over this gap, so fly on over. And that's the Bow of Sun. Once we have the Bow of Sun, we can teleport out of here. We're going to head back to Goa. We already cleared the fortress out of there, so it seems like what else is there to do? We defeated Draconia's finest four. Well, we still need to deal with the Emperor. The Emperor is a dangerous guy, and he's hiding out down past that desert oasis. So head on south of the Goa fields. It's time to move towards the end of the game. Once we're in here, we can use the flight magic. Remember that the leather boots will protect us from the hot sand here. We'll need the flight magic to get over some of these sand whirlpools and enter this cave. Inside this cave, there's some scorpion enemies, so we'll want to equip our Thunder Sword and the power ring as well. It's good to have the power ring on. You'll be able to easily defeat the enemies with it. So just cut your way through these guys and emerge on the other side. And this is a strange little valley. If we use the change spell and transform into Storm, we can talk to one of these rabbits, and one of them is this rabbit named Dio. And Dio's very sad to hear that Storm is actually dead, and gives us Dio's pendant, which, if you're not moving, will replenish your magic points. So that's a nice thing to have. If you have Dio's pendant, you can always get more magic, especially if you just need to do a teleport or something like that. This is the town of Sahara, and this is the final town in the game. Here we can buy more magic rings. They do cost a lot of money, but we can use our discount trick to make them a bit cheaper. In this room, we can meet the Elder, and he lets us know that the tower is still out there, and that's what the Emperor wants. He wants to use Messiah to get into the tower, and then he's going to unleash it on the human race again. A second apocalypse. We've got to stop that from happening, but before we can, we need to do another level grind. This is going to be the last one. These scorpions are worth 1,440 experience points each, so it will be very easy to get the points that we need to max out our level. Level 16 is the highest possible level in the game, and if we exit this door on the right side there, that will actually create a checkpoint for us. And here's level 15, and now that we have level 15, I will want to speed it up again, because we still need to get that last and final level. We want to be powered up all the way before we move forward here. We are going to be fighting the Emperor, and he's a powerful guy, so we want to make sure that we're strong enough to take him on. Keep fighting the scorpions, exit on the right side occasionally to set up a checkpoint, use refresh magic whenever you need to. The town of Sahara is right over there, so if you need to use the inn to refill your magic, you can do that at any time. This is a very easy place to level up. You don't have a lot of risk here. Once you have level 16, there's no more use for experience points. So we'll go back to the town, and we can use the inn to refill our magic. Now, before we go hunt down Emperor Dragon in the pyramids, we can get one more optional item, so we're going to teleport to Goa. You may have wondered why the Spell of Change allows us to transform into a Kana, and this is the reason. If we use that transformation up here, we'll be able to meet a Kana's friend, and he'll give us an item that he borrowed from a Kana. Yeah, maybe that's not particularly ethical, but we've been robbing stores the entire time we've been playing this game, so, I mean, what's taking a ring from somebody? Once we have that warrior's ring, we're going to teleport back to Sahara. We'll use the inn to restore the magic points that we used to do those teleportations. And then we're going to head back through that cave with all the scorpions where we were leveling up before. So just make your way in there. If you want to see what that warrior ring does, I'll show you. It'll actually allow you to fire your level 1 sword attacks without charging up. Which seems pretty awesome, except for the fact that you can't use it and the power ring at the same time. So unfortunately, you won't be using a lot of the warrior ring. Switch over to the leather boots when you get onto the other side, and you'll also need the flight magic. Make your way onto this hot sand, and then fly over these sandy whirlpools. We're now inside the pyramid. The pyramid seems like a confusing maze, but if you know where to go, it's not that bad. I'm going to charge up to my level 3 thunder attack, and that will take out those invisible wraiths. Those guys are annoying. We're going to take the stairway on the left side, although you can theoretically take the stairway on either side, but it will change what you do afterwards. If you need a magic ring, you can make a right there, but we're just going to go to the end since we already have full consumable items. So come down here to the third intersection and make a right, and follow it along until you get to the stairs. And up here, we're going to come face to face with Emperor Dragonia. Charge up to level 3 and make sure your power ring is equipped. At level 16, you won't need the power ring to beat this guy, but if you have it and you just unleash your lightning attack as soon as he charges at you in the beginning of the fight, you can actually take him out in just one lightning attack. Pretty awesome. If you don't get him with the first lightning attack, just launch a second one. You'll definitely get him with that one. And down here we meet Azteca, and he's been injured. He gives us an item, the Bow of Truth, and that is the last of the 3 bows that we need to enter the final area here in the Oasis. We're going to go back to Sahara so we can use the inn. That'll replenish our health and magic, and then it's a good time to save the game. We'll head back through that same cave we went through before with the scorpions, and on the other side of the cave this time, instead of going into the pyramid, we're going to head to the pyramid's back door. Exit that door and then put on your leather boots and make sure you have the flight magic ready. We're going to head north this time, so just head straight up behind the pyramid and bear a little bit right when you see those sand whirlpools, and that's what you're looking for right there. That's the entrance to the pyramid's back door. When we go through this tunnel, at the end of it, we're going to find the statues of the sun and the moon. You may have wondered why we needed those bows before. Well, this is why. Make sure you equip your barrier magic and either the bow of the moon or the sun. Oh, and you need to turn off the opal statue or any of your consumable items, or you won't be able to use the bow. As soon as they start attacking, use the bow of the moon. You don't have to be in front of the moon statue to use it. Then switch to the other bow and destroy the statue of the sun. It's that easy. There are going to be some dangerous warlock enemies in the next area, and they can only be damaged with the wind sword, so make sure to equip it as well as the power ring and your opal statue again. Try to avoid these guys though. That attack that they're shooting at you can curse you, which will turn you into a slime monster. The only way to get rid of the slime curse, and you can see they've done it to me so I can show you what to do about it, is to exit through a door or use the Fruit of Repun. Now, if this would have happened to you while you were fighting a boss, you would be in big trouble if you didn't have the Fruit of Repun. Use the leather boots up here, we're going to cross this spiky field and just head up north. Watch out for those enemies and enter the door. Inside, we are going to go to the right and then go down to the bottom here. Down here, we're going to find an optional item. It's another one of those opal statues. And the opal statues are an awesome item, so we certainly want to take the time to collect this. I'm going to use a magic ring so I have an item slot available. Once we have the opal statue, we're going to head back the way that we came across that spiky field. We'll need to avoid the warlock enemy on the other side. And then we're going to head to the left of where we entered this room initially. So that was down there, so we're going to head over to the left here. And we'll cross another spiky field as we head downwards. And this path is going to wrap around to the right. Over here, as the path wraps back around to the right and up, there's a big chasm that we need to cross, so we can just use our flight magic to cross it without using the platforms. Once we're in this chamber, it's time to face Emperor Dragon for the final time. Make sure to equip your Sword of Thunder, and you'll need the Bow of Truth and the Power Ring. You don't want to have any consumable items activated or you won't be able to use the Bow of Truth. So as soon as the fight begins, use the bow, and the Emperor's true form will be revealed. Once the fight actually begins, you can re-equip your opal statue. Hang out down in the lower right and charge your Thunder Sword up to level 3. Whenever he starts throwing these yellow spiky balls, if you see one coming in your direction, you can block it with the barrier magic. And you definitely want to avoid this flaming circle that he throws. That's a curse attack. Once you see that yellow circle appear on his chest, that's when you want to release the lightning. Once it's been unleashed, you'll need to charge it up again, and you'll need to wait for him to cycle through a few more attacks before he opens up the weak point again. That's alright though, as soon as it opens up, hit him with the second lightning storm. And if you did it just right, you'll be able to defeat him in 2 cycles here. But if you need to charge it up and hit him a 3rd time, that should definitely finish him off. Make sure to watch your MP there. You need 40 magic points to be able to use the lightning. And after all of that, it turns out that Emperor Dragon was Azteca the entire time. Well, what a twist. It seems that he was corrupted by evil, and through his actions, the tower has become active again. Messiah is waiting there. There's no time to spare. We have to go to the tower and stop it from wiping out what's left of humanity. This is the final level, so you can save here. If you're not feeling good about it, you can save twice just to be safe. And make sure that you have your Thunder Sword equipped. What we're going to do here in the tower is we need to eliminate all of the enemies that are walking in the green area. So there are these yellow robots, and there will also be some white ones later. But you want to try to group as many of them onto the screen at once, and then unleash the lightning. Over here, you can also use your level 1 sword attacks with the Power Ring equipped to destroy one if you don't want to use a lot of magic. But if you have a bunch of magic rings available, you might as well try to use the level 3 attacks. They're a very fast way to remove these guys. So try to group as many of these robots on the screen as possible, and once they've taken a few bolts of the lightning, you can use the level 1 sword attack to finish them off. And whenever you see that blink and hear that noise, that means that the stairs are open to move to the next level of the tower. As we move up the tower, we find out some very disturbing news. It turns out that our hero and Messiah were part of the team that designed the tower, and the team that decided to press the button and wipe out all of humanity. That's right, we're the ones that did this. We're the ones that pulled the trigger and wiped out everyone. Not only that, but we decided to cryogenically freeze ourselves for 100 years so that we wouldn't have to hang out in the aftermath of the cataclysm. I mean, you're not going to be a very popular person if you just killed almost everyone on Earth. So yeah, you might not want to be hanging around for that. Not only that, but it seems that the plan was to come back after 100 years and see if the human race needed to be taught a second lesson. I mean, that's pretty messed up. This is the plot of a very successful supervillain. We're like Lex Luthor here. I'm not sure who we thought we were in our past life, back 100 years before we had amnesia, but it sure seems like we were someone that had some kind of god complex. To think that wiping out all of humanity would be some kind of good idea. Maybe that's why we had amnesia. Maybe our brain couldn't handle what we did. Continue to fight all the robots on each level and move up the stairway. It also turns out that we created Azteca, the monster that was trying to bring war against the remaining humans. So I guess we can add building Terminator robots as part of our evil deeds. Continue to clear out the robots on each floor, and we'll make our way to the top of this tower, where we will finally have a chance to atone for our actions and destroy this terrible tower. The barrier magic is also useful against these robots' projectiles, so if you get caught in the crossfire between a few of them, feel free to use that barrier magic. But we do want to save most of our magic points to be able to use the lightning attacks. Don't be afraid to use some magic rings here. That's what we have them for. This is the final level of the game, so don't hold anything back. And this is it. We've made it to the top of the tower. It's time to put all 4 elemental swords together and form Crystalis. Well, it's good to finally meet Messiah, and it seems that she's on board with this plan. We need to destroy the central computer, DYNA, and finally destroy this tower forever. We'll have to thrust the Sword of Crystalis into the main reactor. It's time to fight the final boss. We're going to equip our Refresh Magic and fill up our health, but then we want to switch over to Barrier. We'll also equip an Opal Statue and the Power Ring, and head on up into this room. All we want to do here is hold down the barrier so that we can move to the left and avoid some projectiles, and then we're actually mostly safe here on the left side. Just start rapidly swinging your sword and shooting the sword beams up into the central computer's eye. And that's it. We've done it. We've beaten Crystalis. It's time to thrust that sword into the reactor. Will we make it out alive? Only time will tell. If we don't, though, I think that we deserve our fate here. This was our mess and we had to clean it up. I hope that the people forgive us for what we've done. Lightning strikes the tower and sends it crashing down to Earth. That's it. The legendary conflict has ultimately ended. The fearless youths are people we can never forget. I kind of think it's hard to call our hero and Messiah youths. I mean, they were over 100 years old at this point. That's pretty far off from young, in my opinion. And that's it. Roll the credits. Well done. Well, I hope this video was able to help you beat Crystalis and finally restore peace to the post-apocalypse. If it did, make sure to give it a like and make sure to subscribe for more videos, because there will always be more dystopian futures for us to save, and that's why we'll be back again next week with another video game you can beat. Thanks for watching.